Welcome back to SERA Finance. Smart money. Real talk. Before we get into today's episode, let me quickly recap where we have been. Episode 1 was about the man who went from sleeping in his car to building a $5 billion empire, and the 6 principles hiding inside that story. Episode 2 was the real Warren Buffett, not the version the media sells, but the actual operating system underneath. Episode 3 was about your brain, loss aversion, overconfidence, hurting, and why the human mind is wired to make expensive financial mistakes. If you have not listened to those episodes yet, go back. They build on each other. Today we are talking about a number. A specific number that sits at the center of almost every financial decision you will ever make. And most people have never consciously calculated it, never really examined it, and almost certainly have a completely distorted sense of what it actually is. That number is the true cost of your time. I said at the end of episode 3 that we were going to talk about the most dangerous number in personal finance. This is it. Not your interest rate. Not your tax bracket. Not your debt-to-income ratio. The most dangerous number in your financial life is a number you are almost certainly getting wrong every single day, and the consequences of getting it wrong are compounding silently in the background of every decision you make about money, work, business, and how you spend your hours. Let's break this down completely. Start with a concept that sounds simple but runs very deep. Every financial decision you make has 2 components. There is the money component, how many dollars are flowing in or out. And there is the time component, how many hours are being exchanged for or consumed by that decision. Most people track the money component carefully. They know what things cost in dollars. They compare prices. They look for deals. They negotiate rates. They track their expenses. Almost nobody tracks the time component with the same discipline. And because they don't, they are systematically undervaluing their time, making decisions that trade it away too cheaply, and missing opportunities to deploy it in ways that would generate dramatically more value. The first step in fixing this is to calculate your actual hourly rate. Not the one on your employment contract. Your actual hourly rate, what you genuinely receive in exchange for an hour of your finite time on this planet. Here is how most people think about their salary. If you earn $60,000 a year, you divide by 52 weeks, divide by 40 hours a week, and you get roughly $29 per hour. That is your hourly rate. Simple. Except that number is almost completely wrong for almost everyone. Let's build the real number. Start with your gross salary, $60,000. Now subtract income taxes. Depending on your situation, let's say you net around $44,000 after federal and state taxes. Now subtract commuting costs, fuel, parking, tolls, public transport, let's say $3,000 a year. Subtract work-related clothing, meals, and other expenses you incur specifically because of your job, another $2,000. Now you are at $39,000. But we are not done. Now look at your time. You work 40 hours a week, but how long is your commute? Add an hour each way, 5 days a week. That is 10 additional hours per week, 500 hours per year, consumed by your job that are not compensated. Add the time you spend getting ready for work, winding down from work, thinking about work during personal time, answering emails on evenings and weekends. Conservatively, add another 5 hours per week. That is another 260 hours. So your total job-related hours are not 2,080 per year, the standard 40-hour week calculation. They are closer to 2,800 hours per year. $39,000 divided by 2,800 hours. Your actual hourly rate is closer to $14 per hour. Not 29. 14. And that is before we account for the most important variable of all, opportunity cost. What could you be doing with those 2,800 hours if they were yours to deploy freely? What business could you build? What skills could you develop? What investments could you research and execute? What relationships could you deepen? What health practices could you build into your life? The true cost of an hour is not just what you earn. It is what you earn plus what you give up by not doing something else with that hour. That combined number is what economists call the opportunity cost of your time. And for most people, when you add in a realistic estimate of the value they could create with free hours, the actual cost of their current employment arrangement is staggering. I am not saying quit your job. That is not the point of this analysis. The point is to make you see your time clearly, to understand what you are actually exchanging when you give hours away, so that every future decision about how to spend, sell, or invest time is made with full awareness of what is at stake. Now let me take this framework and apply it to 3 specific areas where most people are making financially irrational decisions because they are not accounting for the true cost of their time. The first area is bargain hunting. There is an entire culture built around saving money through time investment. Driving 45 minutes to a cheaper grocery store. Spending 3 hours comparing prices online before buying a moderately priced item. Clipping coupons for an hour to save $12. Waiting in line for 2 hours to get $20 off a product on a holiday sale. I want to be careful here because I understand that for people in genuine financial hardship, every dollar matters and time arbitrage can be a legitimate necessity. But for people who have income above a subsistence level, the math on bargain hunting very often does not work. If your true hourly rate, including opportunity cost, is $20, and you drive 45 minutes each way to save $15 on groceries, you have spent 90 minutes of time worth $30 to save $15. You lost $15. You feel like you saved money because you only tracked the dollars and not the time. The same logic applies to DIY versus outsourcing. There is a cultural narrative, particularly strong in certain communities, that doing everything yourself is virtuous and that outsourcing tasks is lazy or extravagant. But the math rarely supports this narrative for anyone whose time has real alternative value. If a plumber charges $200 for a job that would take you 6 hours to research, buy parts for, attempt, fail at, reattempt, and eventually complete, and your opportunity cost per hour is $35, you just spent $210 in time to save $200 in plumber fees. And you got the inferior result because the plumber does this every day and you don't. The correct financial framework is, outsource tasks that cost less than your true hourly rate, and invest the freed time into activities that generate more than your true hourly rate. This is how wealthy people get wealthier even as their hourly rate increases. They are constantly recalibrating this equation, freeing time from low-value activities and redirecting it toward high-value ones. The second area where the true cost of time gets completely distorted is in employment and career decisions. Most people evaluate job offers by comparing salaries. Company A offers $70,000. Company B offers $65,000. Company A wins. Simple math. Except salary comparison without time comparison is not financial analysis. It is arithmetic dressed up as financial analysis. What are the actual hours each job requires? What is the commute? What is the culture around after-hours availability? What are the opportunities for skill development, the investments each job makes in your human capital, which compounds into future earning power? What is the trajectory of each role? Where does it lead in 3 years, in 5 years? What is the quality of the relationships you will build in each environment? A job that pays $5,000 more per year but requires 15 additional hours per week, stifles skill development, and leads to a career dead end may be dramatically inferior to the lower-paying alternative on every financial metric that actually matters over a 5-year horizon. There is also the concept of salary ceiling versus equity upside, which most employees never seriously think about because they have been trained to evaluate compensation in terms of the paycheck rather than in terms of wealth creation. Salary is a linear exchange, hours for dollars, repeated indefinitely. Equity, ownership in a business, whether as a founder, an early employee, or an investor, is an exponential mechanism. The value is not tied to the hours you put in. It is tied to the performance of the underlying asset. 1 hour of founder work in the right business at the right time can be worth more than a decade of salary. This is not a reason to blindly chase equity or to undervalue the security of a salary. It is a reason to understand the fundamental difference between selling time linearly and building assets that generate value independently of your time. The wealthiest people in the world almost universally have income that is decoupled from their hours. Their money is working while they sleep. Their businesses are generating cash while they take vacations. Their investments are compounding while they are doing something else entirely. The goal of intelligent financial planning is not to maximize your hourly rate at a job. It is to progressively decouple your income from your time. That decoupling is what financial freedom actually means. Not a number in an account. A ratio, how much of your income is generated without requiring your direct time investment. The third area is debt, specifically consumer debt, And here the true cost of time analysis reveals something that most people find genuinely shocking when they run the numbers. When you carry a balance on a credit card at 22% annual interest and you are making minimum payments, the effective cost of that purchase is not the sticker price. The effective cost is the sticker price plus the total interest paid over the full repayment period. A $2,000 credit card balance at 22% interest, paid at minimum payments, will take you roughly 9 years to pay off and will cost you approximately $2,400 in interest alone. The total cost of that $2,000 purchase is $4,400. But that is still only the money side. Add the time side. What could you have done with that $2,000 instead of spending it on consumer goods? If you had invested it at an average 7% annual return, roughly the historical average of broad index funds after inflation, over 9 years it would have grown to approximately $3,600. You did not just pay $2,200 extra in interest. You gave up the $1,500 in investment growth that money could have generated. The total true cost of that $2,000 purchase on a credit card, run to its logical conclusion, is closer to $5,900. People look at price tags. They almost never look at true costs. This is why debt is so destructive to wealth building, not just because of the interest rate, but because of the compound opportunity cost of every dollar that is locked into servicing debt rather than being deployed into appreciating assets. Every dollar you send to a credit card company is a dollar that cannot be compounding in an index fund. Every year you spend paying down consumer debt is a year of compounding that your money misses. And because compounding is exponential, because the returns in the later years of a long investment horizon are dramatically larger than the returns in the early years, the years you miss at the beginning are the most expensive years to miss. This is the real reason financial advisors universally recommend eliminating high-interest consumer debt before investing. It is not just the interest rate comparison. It is the restoration of optionality, getting your capital back into a position where it can be deployed productively instead of servicing the past. Now I want to introduce a concept that ties everything in this episode together, and it is one of the most powerful mental models I know for making financial decisions. It is called the time value of money. And while most people have heard this phrase, very few people have internalized what it actually means at the level of daily decision-making. The time value of money is the principle that a dollar today is worth more than a dollar in the future, because a dollar today can be invested and grow. The corollary is that a dollar in the future is worth less than a dollar today in present terms, and how much less depends on the rate of return you could earn between now and then. This has radical implications for how you should think about almost every financial decision you make. When you delay investing, when you tell yourself you will start next year when you have more money, or after you pay off this debt, or once you get the raise, you are not just delaying the contribution. You are permanently eliminating the compounding returns that money would have generated between now and when you eventually start. Those years cannot be recovered. That compounding cannot be replicated by starting later. The numbers on this are staggering. If you invest $1,000 per month starting at age 25 and earn 7% annually, by age 65 you will have approximately $2.6 million. If you wait until 35 to start, same contribution, same return, you will have $1.2 million. A 10-year delay cost you $1.4 million, and you only put in $120,000 less in total contributions. The missing $1.4 million is almost entirely the compounding that was lost. This is the true cost of procrastination in financial planning. It is not the delay itself. It is the permanently eliminated compounding, the growth on the growth on the growth, that the delay removes from your future. Time is the most powerful variable in personal finance. More powerful than your rate of return. More powerful than your contribution amount. More powerful than tax optimization. More powerful than investment selection. More powerful than any strategy or system. Starting early and staying consistent beats starting late with superior strategies every time, in every scenario, across every time horizon. Let me bring all of this together into a practical framework you can apply starting today. The first step is to calculate your true hourly rate. Use the method I described earlier, net income after taxes, minus work-related expenses, divided by total hours consumed by your employment including commute, preparation, and availability. Write that number down. Look at it. This is what you are actually earning per hour of your finite life. The second step is to audit your recent spending decisions through the lens of time cost. For the last 3 purchases you made where you spent significant time shopping, comparing, or traveling to save money. Did you actually save money when you count your time? Run the numbers honestly. The third step is to identify your highest value use of time. For 1 hour of completely free, uninterrupted, focused time, what is the most financially productive thing you could do? Learn a skill that increases your earning power? Work on a side project that could eventually replace your salary? Research an investment? Build a relationship that opens a door? Whatever that activity is, that is the benchmark. Every hour you spend on something less valuable than that benchmark is a real financial cost. The fourth step is to eliminate your most expensive time leaks. These are recurring activities that consume significant hours without generating proportionate value, and most people have several of them. The commute that could be eliminated by remote work negotiation. The errands that could be batched or outsourced. The entertainment consumption that runs to 4 or 5 hours per day. These are not moral judgments. They are financial calculations. You are free to spend your time however you choose, but choose consciously, with full awareness of what each choice actually costs. The fifth step is to start. Whatever investing or asset-building activity you have been deferring, start today. Not next month. Not when things settle down. Not when you have more clarity. Today. Even if the contribution is small. Even if the business is just an idea. Even if the skill is just being learned. Start today, because every day you wait is a day of compounding eliminated from your future. I want to close this episode with something that sounds philosophical but is actually the most practical point of everything we have discussed today. Money is a representation of value. And value, at its root, is created by the productive application of time. Everything you have financially, every dollar in your account, every asset you own, every income stream you have built, is the result of time that was applied productively and the proceeds captured and compounded over time. The people who build extraordinary wealth are not people who found a shortcut around time. There are no shortcuts. They are people who understood the value of their time so deeply and so precisely that every decision they made about how to spend it, sell it, or invest it was optimized for maximum long-term return. Jeff Bezos is famously meticulous about how he spends his mornings. He has said that he makes no important meetings before 10 a.m. because he needs his best mental hours, his most valuable hours, for thinking, reading, and high-leverage decisions. He understands that the opportunity cost of his time is so high that spending his peak hours on low-leverage activities is one of the most expensive mistakes he could make. Elon Musk uses a time management technique called time boxing, scheduling every hour of his day in advance and protecting the blocks allocated to highest priority work with near-religious discipline. Because he understands that unfocused time is time that cannot be recovered and cannot be compounded. You do not need to be a billionaire for this principle to matter. The principle scales. Whether your true hourly rate is $15 or $1,500, the logic is identical. Know your rate. Protect your highest value hours. Eliminate activities that cost more than they return. Invest time, like money, into compounding assets. Your time is your most finite resource. Every dollar you spend you can earn back. Every hour you spend is gone forever. Treat it accordingly. This is SERA Finance. Episode 4 is done. Episode 5 is coming, and we are going to talk about something that most financial channels completely avoid: the dark side of entrepreneurship. The real statistics on business failure, the specific mistakes that kill most businesses in their first 3 years, and the framework that separates the businesses that survive from the ones that don't. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. You do not want to miss it. Smart money. Real talk.